as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the closed session?
Make a motion, we approve the certification of the closed session.
And do I hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So, I don't have any comments. Do you have any comments for the superintendent? I did prepare some comments for today. I just wanted to share with the community that I've heard from several members of our community over the past few weeks. Most I know personally, neighbors, friends, teachers, etc. They were reaching out to praise our teachers and or administration for how hard they're working. A couple shared stories of sightings of some central office leadership that are rolling up their sleeves alongside their teams in the schools. I hear you all were working in the cafeteria last week. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, we were.
They shared the bus pickup and drop off is still challenging, but wanted me to know they're doing the best they can and should be commended. They tell me their kids are okay, and while the mask isn't ideal or desired, they're just happy they're in a classroom. There are a few individuals who are unwilling to accept that students are wearing masks in school and that there is nothing that can be done right now at the school board level to change that. I want everyone to know that every single public school in the state of Virginia is doing the exact same thing we are in terms of masking. Rest assured that as soon as a mandate is lifted, we will move forward to make whatever decision lies before us. Please continue to reach out by phone or email anytime. You may also sign up for public comments during the regular monthly school board meeting. Please note that we do not take public comment during our work sessions. Thank you for your support and supporting our community. All right, so first order of new business, we have benefits, and that's Mr. Matt Davis, Griff Insurance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, school board members. Again, I'm Matt Davis with McGriff Insurance Services, and what we want to do is provide you an update today on a couple things going on with your health plan as we approach the renewal, which is 10/1. So if you go to the next slide, please. So what we're going to focus on is claims and year-to-date performance, specifically around year-end settlement and the reinsurance costs. When we met last in May, we were looking at a 5.39% increase with the reinsurance costs, both aggregate and specific, going up 5%. Large claims at that time period ranged in the most recent 12 months, 32 claimants over 25,000, with 5 claims exceeding the stop loss limit of 406,000. Next slide, please. So we looked at a couple of different things. One of the things we wanted to highlight is obviously COVID. Since COVID's onset, you've had about 53 claimants that have flowed through the Anthem system. So they would have to be covered in order for them to show up in this data. And then that's cases with 291 claimants. The difference would be testing, vaccines that actually flowed through the system. 0 hospitalizations, which is good. And then the total cost is a bit of a moving target right now, but we're nailing that down. It says $56,000. That's the most recent number that we have from the Anthem system. We're going to offset some of the COVID dollars with grant money through the Virginia Department of Education, and that should be paid in sometime this week. So that will help. And what we're looking for is, or we'll get to in a second, is what that our surplus or deficit looks like year to date. The other piece is Anthem, as part of the renewal, and this is typical in the reinsurance market, reserves the right to change their reinsurance costs within 75 days of the renewal, depending on claims. To date, they have not exercised that in Central Virginia, or at least with any of our clients. What actually transpired with New Kent County Schools is you had, since the May board meeting, several large claimants and the dollars had skyrocketed in terms of claims. So they re-reviewed the renewal. They were late doing it, which we held their feet to the fire of that, and I'll get to what we asked for in a second. But the claims projection, to give you an example, at the bottom of page 6, per employee per month was $506.62 originally. Since that, when we look at claims through the end of July, that has actually gone to $1,246. So a dramatic increase in claims, right? So what drove that on the next page is we had 30 claimants that over $25,000 in claims, which is not unheard of. I mean, you've had that number for a while, but it went from 406,000 to 672,000 in about 4 or 5 months. And most of those claimants are still receiving care, and most of them are still accumulating dollars. So the timing of the notification, we actually asked for final numbers in June, and we didn't get them until August 10th. And we really took Anthem to task over that because they shouldn't be. Contractually, they're in line, but from an operational standpoint, it doesn't make sense and don't acceptable. So what that resulted in is the specific stop loss going up 34%. Aggregate stop loss remained the same. So we went back to them and requested several options. Relook at the numbers, increasing the specific stop loss level in an effort to reduce premiums, and same thing with the aggregate stop loss. And it's something called lasering out one large claimant, but that ended up not being an option. So on the next page, these are the cost of what we looked at. So originally, the renewal was calling for $736,000 for stop loss all total. The adjusted renewal changed that to $959,000. And then we asked for an option, which is what we're going to recommend, is going to 125% aggregate stop loss, which means total, which is normal for the market. And then trading the 110,000 specific stop loss to 125,000 per claim. Okay, so an increase of $15,000 per claim. That's the key. That's the key number right there. And so we looked at that, and that resulted in increasing only 54,000 rounded up. And so it would take 11.27 claims to erase that reduction in the cost. So that's a fix for this year.
So the 790 is the fix. Is that what your suggestion will be?
That's the total annual cost by changing to these.
By those numbers?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, sir.
The difference in cost from the COVID, because we are self-funded, are we able to use CARES Act funding for that?
Yes, that's the process that we're working through right now with Virginia Department of Education for that to be an allowable expense.
Okay.
I don't know if we've received, we have. So yes,
We can use
yeah.
that.
I know Haney and her team and Allison were working on that last week. So
Are you saying to make up the difference in the premiums?
For the COVID. is it
for
only the
COVID specific
expenses?
related expenses, 53,000 and change,
Okay.
we can use part of our CARES ESSER set aside money.
But were any of these larger claims, do we know that they were related to COVID or not?
They were not.
They were not.
Okay.
Can we definitely can rule that out then?
Correct.
What's that?
And so we definitely can rule that out. That they
We
were
can.
not affiliated with it.
We know our top, well, we know all of our claimants, but
Okay.
even the stories behind each of them.
And we look at specific diagnosis codes on our end, and then plus we had a nurse manager review the claim.
So the
Is
good
that
news is we have
unusual
not
to
had a
have
large
that
claim
large
related to
of an
COVID.
increase in that short a period of time?
Yes, it is, but it does happen. I mean, I've heard of much larger increases. I don't like it, but I know that since we pulled claims through the end of February, and then we're talking about them being on the hook for claims from till September of 2022, it makes sense that they would want to adjust their numbers potentially. What we're going to do actually is kind of a solution going forward is we were able to get Anthem to do a couple things that they normally don't do. Okay. First of all, they're keeping the billed rates the same. they're not going to charge you that increase until the end of the next plan year, which means that if you have a surplus that's going to be consumed by that, it actually won't cost you anything. And then we also were able to negotiate $34,000 in wellness dollars and services that they have to provide New Kent over the next 12 months. So at the end of the day, I think we ended up in a good spot because the way they handled it was not appropriate. And we also had them guarantee that we're going to have the numbers in hand 75 days at least next year. And they don't know this because I didn't tell them, but we're going to go to market too. So, and, I mean, I think they do a good job overall, but this was not acceptable.
So if they bill us later and we end up, we go to market, and we end up moving our coverage elsewhere, we would still owe that, or are they deferring that as premium for next year?
You would owe that because it would run as part of the payout.
And these are annual contracts that we do?
Yes. They are annual.
I'm new, so is this statewide that all school systems use Anthem?
Oh, no.
No,
No,
Not at
it's
all.
all individual.
No.
Okay.
We used to have United
Good.
up until 2011, I think. And I mean, you have options and you're a good group.
and some of us are self-funded, others are not. They're in a pool and lots of different ways to do insurance. We worked very hard to give our employees a significant raise last year and hold health premiums flat. Now, how long we're able to keep that, that will be discussion moving forward in the budget. The bad part for this was it fell outside of our budget cycle. So we do a lot of planning and forecasting with Matt and his team. So we did forecast an increase and then they readjusted after the fact.
So can you give me an example of what that $34,000 wellness fund, what does that mean? I mean, what does that include?
There's actually a whole list of things. It could include stuff like exercise equipment. It could include programs like bag lunches, guest speakers, Weight Watchers. I mean, there's a whole
Okay.
bunch of things. We're actually going to meet with Anthem in October to go over that and figure out a plan on how to spend that money. So, and as you would imagine, that there is a little bit of a deficit that, or there is a deficit running this through the end of July. It was a $536,000 deficit. I just got the reports for August and it's actually down to 462.
Nice.
So I've been working with New Kent for a while and you guys have run a deficit point twice. This is the second time. And the last time you ran it, it was somewhat like this and ended up being almost break even by the time we finished the plan. So we hope that that's a lot of ground to come up with. I don't know that we're going to get there, but I think it could look a lot better than it has. And these things run in cycles. I mean, most years you've run a surplus and a significant surplus, which is translated into premium holidays and
Well, that's right. That was my next question, because I think people really, we've been doing so well with that, we give it back to the people who pay into it.
right.
I think that's, wouldn't say it's an expectation, but it's certainly something that people look forward to because we've been able to do it every year. Is that something that we are definitely not going to be able to do this year?
I think it's a little too early to tell. And just for context, Ms. McBee, the last 2 Decembers, we've done a premium holiday for our employees. So because the fund has performed so well, we've been able to pay their premiums for the month of December, which is huge. And as very few things do you do in this industry that everybody applauds you for. And actually that one, not everybody, but almost everybody on that one too. So we have a very strong fund balance and we have a lot of ways to get at this piece that we're working at. So we're committed to continue to do that and then bring you an update later in the fall to kind of see where we are. Unless Matt says right now, yes, we can definitely do it. Then we'll work through it.
I just want to see the year-end numbers. So, but we're going to work hard and get the numbers as low as we can and start the process earlier this year. And also try to fund a little bit extra, being that we have to deal with this adjustment potentially every year. So regardless of who you're with. I mean, it is industry norm, so we'll fund up a little bit higher than what the actual expected claims cost are. Any questions?
Do you, and I know we talk about this pretty frequently, but in your experience, will we continue to have conversations of how we could have a larger conglomeration of people participating within the insurance pool so that to maybe lessen the premiums, like to include the county employees or include or be in a pool with another school system? Or what is your feel on that moving forward, especially with all of the chaos that has happened over the last 18 months through the pandemic? And because if I hear you correctly, and this is the trend, these self-funded programs that are in smaller jurisdictions, if these claims continue to go up, it's just not going to be realistic that school divisions can carry such a large premium and that it would benefit them to be in a larger pool. Do you hear any talk about that as a potential moving forward?
I hear it all the time, and I've been doing this for 31 years. And I will tell you that out of those 31 years, I've heard it every single year. And it really, if you go into a pool that has bad claims, it doesn't have to cost, right?
Sure.
And so the biggest thing is to do what New Kent has always done since we've been working with you guys, which is being an innovator in wellness, to do a lot of things to help people take advantage and be good consumers of their healthcare and engage the employees. And I think always happy to look at other options and entertain what that looks like. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think also the biggest thing is to get people engaged in lifestyle and nutritional and exercise and their doctor. And it doesn't matter what size you are, because if you look at Henrico County, which I've worked on in the past, they have large claims too. And it doesn't really mean their costs are low. But I think we always need to look and see what innovation there is out there to help maintain your costs and reduce your costs where you can.
And I feel like in the smaller, you just have a higher, more peaks and valleys or deeper, correct? I mean, you're going to have.
You can, yeah. I mean, I have another school system that's 1,000 employees, and though you've had a bad year, they actually have consistently done as well as you have, but not as good as you have over time. I mean, you think about the run of almost 10 years or so, and I have to go back and see how many years it actually was. In a number of years, you had surplus. I don't know of anybody who's done it well. And it's because of what the innovation you guys have done over the past
The
year.
wellness and things like that.
And the big challenge is going to be, to your point, is prescription drugs. That's the big worry going forward, is what those costs are going to be. Good information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business is our propane contract. Mr. Hoffman.
Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, board members, Dr. Nichols, quotes have been received to procure propane for New Kent County Public Schools for a 2-year period. It is recommended that the school board award the contract to Holtzman Propane and authorize Dr. Nichols to sign the related contract documents.
Mr. Hockman,
Yes, ma'am.
how many proposals did we receive?
I think off the top of the head, I think it was 3.
Okay, that's good.
3 it is.
When I looked at that proposal, it was a little bit, I didn't understand why the price fluctuated so much from 140 to 119 or do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, that's why you're here.
That's why I was waiting to come back.
All right, you've got a summer buy and a winter
Okay,
buy.
that's what I was.
Okay, so it's so much cheaper in the summer and we do bulk buys usually how we do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was a difference. Okay, that makes sense.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? Thank you. Next order of business is opening of schools update. Dr. Nichols.
All right, good evening again. Did want to bring you a little bit of an update on opening of schools. We did this at the last board meeting. So we're a couple more weeks down the road. So I want to talk you through this a little bit. First, I just want to say thank you again. I think anytime I'm doing an opening of schools or closing of schools presentation, I've just got to thank the team we work with. If you're reading the papers online or actually in paper form, you're seeing areas where schools are having to close because of transportation. Schools are having to close because of this, and we are stretched thin. Like, our folks are doing huge work to fill gaps. So there's not a position in this organization that this division leadership team won't step in outside of transportation, because I don't think any of us have our CDL, but we'll work through that too. But our principals in classrooms covering, our paraprofessionals stepping up, because positive cases and quarantines have occurred. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Nothing does our schools justice like actually walking through our schools. So tonight I try to bring you a couple of pictures of just our kids in action. And outside of desks being in rows for the most part and students wearing masks, we're getting back to more of school as we know and love it, which is a beautiful thing. So you see some work going on the left with the dry erase boards, total response. Everybody has to respond. And I have no idea what they're drawing on the right, but I'm going to go with candles and castles and so forth. So we're able to mix it up. We're able to work in groups. We're able to collaborate and stay true to our mission. Some additional pictures that you can see. So the young man on the left, as you know, I'm not only a superintendent, I'm also a parent. That is my own son. At Bridging Communities doing pharmacy tech. So hands-on. He'd be mortified if he knew I took that. Bridging sent me that picture, but they're still making work happen. Pharmacy tech is one of our new programs at Bridging. Kids come out of it with career certifications ready to go into the workforce. Middle picture, kids collaborating, utilizing technology. And this amazing young man on the right side with his globe that he has put together. Mr. Mead, I believe at the last meeting asked a question about some of our drills and safety things that we do. We're still responsible for fire drills, active shooter lockdown drills, earthquake, you name it. We still have to drill and be ready. If nothing, what we've seen in the news taught us that safety does not take a back seat, school safety, because we're in a pandemic. We stay ready for everything. So that's one of our fire drills at George Watkins. So continuing to work forward and move forward. Wanted to bring you some health data. This was a question or recommendation at our last board meeting. So what you have is September 12th through the 18th. No surprise to anybody who's been on the VDH website that the entire state of Virginia is red. So I have selected New Kent at the bottom. The VDH is continuing to update their report. So this is my pool. 307 cases per 100,000 is that data metric, and sitting at a 12.4% positivity. There we go. This is our dashboard that we brought to you at our last meeting that has now since gone live, and I have the link there at the top. You can find it right off of our homepage. On our newly designed website, it will actually sit at the bottom at all times, as long as we're in a pandemic, working through this dashboard. So it is updated every Friday at the end of the day, gives you a 7-day snapshot of what's going on in our schools. So this is, Mr. Miller's getting me to move forward in my presentation. So 25 positive student tests and 259 students in quarantine. That's across all 4 schools. When you do percentage wise, it's not as bad as looking at the whole number, but 259 is a lot of disruptions in a 7-day period. We are full-time contact tracers. We are full-time quarantiners and full-time in partnership with the Virginia Department of Health. Our job has dramatically shifted. And I say our job, our school nurses, our school administrators, our division leadership team. On the staff side of things, looking a little better there. Staff positive tests 5 in the past 7 days, and staff in quarantine. And I will tell you, a number of those staff in quarantine are due to students in quarantine and childcare issues, and really working to continue to take care of our team as we work through this. But that sits on our website every day. It is updated, as the note says, every Friday. And board members, this is a work session. Feel free to ask questions. I did have this coming out of the last meeting, so wanted to kind of bring this to you. This is a quarantine example. So with the health commissioner's order of masks and the CDC guidance that says if you're at least 3 feet with masks, that you do not have to quarantine. Now, not all of our classrooms afford 3 feet. There's a reason we're building Quinton Elementary. You're going to see some beautiful pictures here coming up about that. But where we can, we try to be at least 3 feet. And we've had this example in the past week where we have a positive student. Let's say they sit right there. We have to have no additional classroom quarantines, because students are at least 3 feet apart wearing masks, following the quarantine guidance that we have in place. So I want to show you another example. This would be if we were not under the health commissioner's order, and that would be without a mask. That same positive student then causes the students around with the quarantine. We're seeing that in the cafeteria where students are not wearing a mask and they have to be more than 6 feet because they're not wearing a mask. That's really where we're having some of our largest disruptions, and we continue to work around that. The middle school really revamped everything. They went from 3 lunch blocks to 6. They moved out the cafeteria tables and put desks in there. It is not the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the world, but kids are now 6 feet apart, and guess what? You no longer have to get a phone call about quarantine in the lunchroom. So we're continuing to work through those pieces and reduce the number of quarantines. We've also partnered with the health department and continue to push the health department to get students and staff back in sooner. And we'll continue to talk about some of those measures and what we're doing on those fronts as we move forward. Our next steps, we're continuing to refine these quarantine protocols. Since we last met, we've done the revamp of the middle school cafeteria. We've shifted classroom spaces. We'll continue to meet with the health department. We have a meeting on Wednesday. One of the things that we want to make sure we continue to do with the health department is make sure that families know all the routes to get back sooner than 14 days. And we want to push on the health department because the 8-day test on day 5, come back on day 8, is fully dependent on the health department giving you the release form. We cannot right now take you without that. The 10 days, no symptom, no test, also requires the health department. So a lot of our work is pushing on the health department, and I know they serve more than just us. They have Hanover and Goochland and Charles City as well. And I'm sure they're running like we're running. But we continue to do that because we want to get students back in school. We're expanding partnerships with the Virginia Department of Health. We've ordered and asked for at-home testing kits for us to have here on site. So if we do have a family that needs to quarantine, that we're able to potentially offer that to a family so that they can get back sooner. We're finding one of the most frustrating things as a superintendent is that it continues to evolve and change. So we have situations with families where a student has had to quarantine, but they don't have symptoms. Okay, happens all the time. Actually, if you're doing this really well, you're going to have that. That's how you prevent the outbreak piece. But you get in this catch-22 where you go to a doctor's office and say they're not symptomatic. We can't test you. So then they're stuck in this gray area. So then they go to Walmart or Walgreens or something like that and try to get the at-home test, because now we can take that too, and they're sold out, or the cost is preventative or prohibitive. So we're really trying to work around all those things to provide the most seamless experience for our families. And we'll continue to invent, we'll continue to be innovative, we'll continue to partner and find solutions.
Well, and are we educating families when, just letting them know if your child is asymptomatic and they're not experiencing any type of loss of taste or smell or whatever, they may not test you? I mean, are we giving them any of that type of?
I don't know if our
education?
nurses, because of the volume, are getting that specific, but I can find that question out.
Well,
Mr.
and
Estes.
maybe what we can do would be, what would be even better is if Virginia Department of Health had a form that said, this is the conditions under which we test. In that way, we could give that to the school nurses to give to families so that they would be more prepared and know what to expect as.
Maybe even post that on the website as well. That would be.
Well, that would be an idea
Okay.
Yeah,
too,
we
but we
could
want to
do
just
that.
verify that it's, you know, that we have all the accurate information that VDH is.
I know the VDH has a roadmap similar to the one we have that shows you your 3 ways to come back if you've been in quarantine, but
But they don't have that
Correct.
piece that says this is how you qualify to be tested in a doctor's office.
so we can either in partnership with them or update. And we have a good relationship partnership with New Kent Pediatrics as well. We can reach out to them and get some guidance. That's where I actually learned of some of the pitfalls that families were facing was due to that partnership, the supply of tests, utilizing on a student that's not symptomatic.
Why would it not be realistic when you talk about, because I have heard that story too, about, parents are trying to get the release form from the Chickahominy Health Department. They can't get through, they call, nobody picks up the phone. Depending on what the requirements are, what they're looking for, why couldn't a school nurse issue that same release form?
I mean, I would at least like the permission to release you at 10 because I'm getting the same information that Chickahominy Health District is.
If the form, if the nurse has the form in the school, they're more than qualified to sign off on it, to say this, because, parents, if they know it's day 10 and they're trying to call at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, because it's day 10 to get their child back in school. I had one parent says, I couldn't get through till lunchtime.
Right.
And so now their kid missed a whole day of school because they couldn't get the release form from Chickahominy Health Department. And it would be nice if there's something we could do in-house to be able to get release forms when they fall on those days that are eligible, So that just may help us that we can get more people in the seats quicker because we're not, because again, they're overwhelmed as also because they don't have the staff and they really don't want to take a phone call to say, you need a release form.
Right.
Well, that's not high on their priority as a release form, but for the parents in our situation, it is a high priority for them because they want their student back in school.
Absolutely.
So just the thought process with that we should be able to have, that's one of those things that how those agencies should be able to empower individual divisions to make decisions like that would help benefit our division.
And we're doing the tracing. We have
Yeah,
the
I mean, we're
sheets all
doing our
out.
work. It's
Yeah.
not like that we don't have anybody to do it.
They're actually getting our data from us. So, I mean, we've done,
we
the
should be
majority
able
of the
to
legwork
control our
on
own
it, so-
situation without using the Chickahominy Health Department to tell us when somebody can come back and when they can't come back.
It's probably a trust issue.
because we're at the door when they don't have that letter and that never goes well because we want them back in.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
They
to
wanna
have
be
that
able to-
piece.
They want
Yeah,
to be
they
able
want
to
to
have that
control it,
control.
right?
What I meant to mention on the quarantine slide are the 3 most common quarantine places. And it's really the ABCs of quarantine. It's athletics, buses, cafeteria. And then classroom space would come after that, or community. So our quarantine numbers, I just want to say thank you to our families. Our families have done a tremendous job overall of saying, my child was exposed at X outside of school. I'm keeping them home. So our number encompasses everything. So if it happens on a weekend and you're at a concert or you're at a ball game or whatever the case may be, you're one of our students. So you're included in that as well. So a couple additional notes. Communication is a big goal of ours this year. We have 2 additional tools coming soon, and by coming soon in the month of October. We have a GPS transportation app that is coming our way now that we've worked through the first few weeks of school. All our buses are now GPS enabled as of last year. That families will have a way to access through a code where their student's bus is. Or let's say Mason Nichols bus has been changed from bus 22 to 42, you would get that text notification and you'd be notified if it was late or what have you. The only thing you don't know is that Mason Nichols actually got on that bus because he is not chipped. But technically it's a cell phone, so I
It's
guess
cell phone.
we could track him. But that's just a great tool. You know, buses, for a lot of reasons, do not always run on schedule. And with the shortages that are out there, it's just a handy tool for families to have. So that's coming your way. We also have our NKCPS mobile app. And the goal is to have that transportation be embedded in it. So we'll show you a screenshot. So this is what it would look like when you click on the app. So you'll have a new you can download a New Kent County Public Schools app from the App Store. And you would have, first you would subscribe to your school. So if you are New Kent High School only, me as superintendent, I subscribe to all 4 of them because I want the news coming from all 4. But you can be specific to your child's school, calendar specific to your child's school. We have worked, we got some feedback at this table about athletics and that page. So now you can see high school and middle school athletics when you go to that page, not just the high school piece. OSP is our online payment module. So if you're paying for a field trip or something, you can go right there on our app. Power School, we all know Power School if we're checking our kids' grades. That's on there. It'll also take you to our social media if you want to go there. So really it's a number of apps and pages just in one place. So we had a great meeting today as Division Leadership Team. One of the icons that we're gonna put on there is for families. Our for families section on our website has been redone. It has a tremendous amount of information. So we want that to be a button that you can click on and go right to that. That's where our quarantine flow charts are, our free and reduced lunch forms are. Everything is right there on that piece. So
Does this have all of the information that's on the website?
it does.
It does, okay.
A lot of it is a mobile version of the website. So the same company that we worked through on redesigning the website worked with us on redesign or designing an app.
Dr. Nichols,
Yes.
will the calendar, what will be on the calendar tool? How detailed will that be?
We have exam schedules.
So Ms. Barbara, just for Mr. Miller's not Mike, but he had the correct answer. It'll be everything that's on the division calendar. So school board meetings, for example.
Okay,
It'll also have anything that's on the calendar for the school you select. So for instance, middle school is playing Berkeley tomorrow in football. So you would have that on there as well. So just another resource. Almost all of us get most of our information from our phone these days.
mm-hmm,
So this is a mobile friendly version to access information. So as you start using it, and we'll highlight once it's released, we'll have big Facebook post and contests and everything. We can keep getting feedback from families because it may be that you don't need the school messenger app. So I skipped over that one because in my head, I don't think you may not need that one. That would have a running list of all the school messenger messages that you receive from your child's school. So it's another way.
So then we could turn the recorded calls off and just be able to go in and read them.
You would be able to go in and read them. I'm certainly not going to advise you to turn the calls off, but I do understand. Because we do notify families every time there's a positive case at the school,
Yeah.
Whether your
I
child
know.
has been quarantined or not. So we do call quite a bit. So we're just excited to continue to move this communication mission forward and just another option for families. So our idea, and we're still working on that, is the transportation app would be embedded in this. So you don't have to go transportation here. It's one-stop shop. So
When do we hope that this will go live?
actually it should in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
The transportation piece, what we're doing behind the scenes is we're running it to make sure it works well. Make sure that we stay connected in all parts of the county, for example. This Mr. Mead can actually come online a little sooner. It just may not have transportation embedded. So
Well, athletics have all the athletics, high school, middle school, all.
high school and middle school. Mr. Spiek has kind of stepped in and is adding the middle school pieces to the feed that he utilizes for high school. So yes, it would have both of those in there. So family, community, anybody can download this app and select schools and get information. So as we roll out additional tools, we'll continue to add. We're not limited to just these 9. You could also put on there our YouTube channel. If somebody wants to see our board meetings or anything we push out, you could click on that as well. So we'll bring it back. We'll do some live demonstrations, but just wanted you to see that we're continuing to push that forward.
Right.
And I think, Mr. Miller, that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
So Dr. Nichols, back to the situation in the schools. What still keeps you up at night? I mean, as far as, where we're at, we're, 1 month in. What keeps you up at night? What are you most concerned about as we head into, the fall, the winter, cooler temperatures?
Taking care of our team. Because when we take care of our team, we can take care of the community. So what we spend a great deal of time on, and I spend a great deal of time thinking about, is how to separate ourselves from other school divisions and attract and retain the most highly qualified, amazing people. We already have the most amazing kids in the community, and we have unbelievable staff. How do we keep them? It's hard. When every move you make and every decision you decide, somebody takes issue with. It is hard. And our teachers and our staff have put blood, sweat, tears, because they care. And my worry is losing them because of things that don't have anything to do with education. At my core, I am a 2nd grade teacher, 1st generation college graduate, just trying to make a difference for kids. And we get caught up in things that have nothing to do with that, and our teachers get sidelined with it too. My worry is not being able to open up because I don't have teachers. We're going to take care of kids. I shared this, in the beginning. I mean, for your superintendent, assistant superintendent, go in and sling chicken nuggets for 3 lunch blocks so we can feed kids. I mean, there's nothing we won't do to take care of this community. So the more we can partner, and I wore this mask intentionally, it says stronger together. There's a lot of divisiveness going on in this world. If we can pull together and take care of kids and get through this, there's nothing we can't do. Because I tell you what, we're doing that every day, and we're still pushing our mission forward. We've got seniors right now that can't wait for a pandemic to be over, to be educated and to be career ready. I got one of them on my own. Same with our kindergartners, the class of 2034. But if we don't have the people to open up and continue to do that, I read an op-ed the other day, and they said about the national teacher shortage, and the superintendent simply said, why would anybody want to come into education right now? Because everything you do is under a microscope and it's scrutinized. It's tough. We're going to drive buses, we're going to feed kids, and we're going to educate them every daggone day. And if you hear my wonderful voice come on the telephone and say, guys, we can't open today because we broke. We're going to hold on, and we're going to do everything possible. And that was the longest answer, Ms. Destin. I do apologize, but this is 24/7. We don't stop at 4 o'clock. We're still tracing on Saturdays. We're still playing ball game. We're doing everything. That's what keeps me up at night, Ms. Swinford. I'm glad there's not a mute on this because y'all probably would have. But I really appreciate the opportunity to express that, Ms. Swinford. It's taking care of our team and staying open. I also want to say how much I appreciate this board and how you allow us to do that work. The support that you provide. We don't have challenges other people have. It's because of your leadership. It's because of you. So with that, I will conclude. Ms. Swinford, thank you.
Thank you for that.
I'm sort of amazed that we're able to do new things and be innovative with new apps and new ways of doing what we do, communicating and getting out there for parents. So
We
appreciate
manage
you
the present, but
still,
we always create the future. So you got to do both in an organization.
that's right. Any other questions? All right, next on our agenda is Quinton Elementary School update with Mr. Pollock and Mr. Moser.
Speaking of innovation and moving things forward,
Yes.
there's a good transition.
Look
I'm not
at
sure
how
why Mr. Pollock
beautiful.
left the So.
It's so exciting how it's coming together. It looks amazing.
So we are now tag teaming and we will continue to do this forward. They're a duet now, so they'll actually share a mic. So we have Mr. Pollock and Mr. Moser. Mr. Moser is our principal at Quinton Elementary School. And thank you to
Welcome.
the board and the county for allowing us to get him in place now because he is incredibly busy making this happen. So as we do at every work session, we bring a Quinton Elementary School construction update. And we have a treat for you. So with that, I'll turn it over to these two gentlemen.
Okay, either way. Thank you, everybody. The school right now, elementary school, this is the most important part. We are only 14 days behind schedule from 50. So that's the beginning on the sections. We can go section by section and give details for installation of steel decking at the high roof is underway. Installation of roof blocking and associated insulations and sheathing is started. On section B, installation of roofing systems is currently on schedule for begin on October the 4th. That's going to be over the mechanical area so we can get them dried in so we can get permanent power. Installation of hangers and mechanical, electrical work. It will begin in the mechanical room on September the 24th. Section C, steel installation is approximately 65% complete. CMU is at 85%. Section D, CMU is currently at 80% complete. Section F is at 50% complete. Site work, we are starting to put site lighting in and we'll have permanent power hopefully by November into the building.
Now, at the last work session, I think we can all remember Mr. Pollock presenting.
Yeah, he was a real encourager last.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's just.
So, talking, steel was not on site.
Nope.
We couldn't give you a delay. We said 50, 60, somewhere there. Fast forward a month.
Got a lot done.
You see a
You
ton
can
of
see
steel
it.
on site.
You can see it.
As a matter of fact, I think I communicated this to board, but for the public. So Mr. Pollock talks about that on Monday night at the work session. Tuesday morning before 7 a.m., Mr. Pollock has texted me pictures of steel arriving on site. So
Oh, ye of little faith.
you don't go from 50, 60 days behind to 14 with everything else you have going on without a dynamic team like we have. So
I mean, the whole job has worked very well. I mean, it's been a pleasure actually to work up there. It's been really good. I mean, we do have an additional change order that just came in that it's not into the pay apps yet, as we just were signed today, where we're going for the panel boards and the electrical conduits for where we had to do our study that is required for the, let me get the details for you before I go into that. Over current protection device study that we have to do that is required by NEC now. It started out as a $28,000 change order. We negotiated it down to a $22,000 change order just to give how everything does work up there. This was brought along by the changing in the pipes. The pipe sizes had to be increased due to like changing from the aluminum copper wire to aluminum wire, which makes the size of the wire larger. So the conduits that were already put in place will have to be run overhead now. So that's where you get and the breaker sizes changed on the devices. The only other change that was for 22,000 is what we ended up for the change order on that then. For the panels and electrical conduits, the gym wall doors, if you've looked at the drawings before, you've seen where the gym, where the hoops are, right behind it has storage doors. So what they did is we got some padding for them doors to take and a change order to put padding on them doors. The change order for that was $4,500. That puts us at total right now of $26,562 in change orders for PCO 6.
And that's it for our contingency, right?
Mr.
Yes.
Pollock?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have what that percentage of the contingency that is?
Probably less than 1%.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
It's not much.
yeah, Ms. Barber, that would definitely be less than 1%.
That's Just wanted to make sure.
But
To-
that is
total contingency
right?
utilized
Wonderful job. That's
throughout the
That's
project.
what we've
Okay.
spent over, out of our contingency so far, as of today. That's site work.
So what are we on the scale of percentage complete?
Well, so before you answer that, one of the questions that we had a long time ago too was when the contingency, I think I remember them telling us that you were more likely to use that contingency before you get out of the ground. Once you get
Site
to
work
this
is 90,
Yeah.
is 90%.
90% of
usually.
it, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's,
Yeah, most of your uncertainty is in earthwork.
It does bring up an interesting point. So I know our team is good, but less than 1% good is unbelievable.
That's why I said,
We do have an opportunity. There may be multiple opportunities. One of the things that we did in the process is to get it under budget, we made some concessions and did some different things. We took out a bus canopy from the Quinton site. There is an opportunity to put that back and still be well under, still have a significant contingency left. We do need to make that decision in the next couple of weeks. It does not officially require board action because it is part of the overall budget. But as we get these opportunities, especially a large scale like this one, we definitely want to discuss that and get feedback.
and I'd really like it if we could include a cost estimate for New Kent Elementary while they are looking at Quinton, because that will leave New Kent Elementary as the only school without only elementary school, since Watkins and Quinton would both have it. He has to add one there too.
You are correct. So New Kent Elementary does not have a canopy. It is something that Dr. Stam has requested, and Mr. Moncrief was requesting prior to her. So, I mean, we could, Tim, we can get together and kind of look at,
yeah, I can take care of that.
cost that out.
Tell
me
them
what you want and-
Tell them they're gonna have to do a 2-for-1 deal. We're gonna get 2 canopies for the cost of 1.5.
Okay.
But we can definitely look into it.
So I would love to do this update from the site, so I figured I'd bring the site to us tonight. Then give you a little bit of an update of what the planning looks like from my end as the planning principal.
Kyle, go
So-
ahead and pull that all the way over to you. So
course.
we're going to cut Tim off now.
Okay, our duet's over.
Oh, wait a minute, back to I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. So what is the percentage complete on your major scale?
We're only probably on the full job.
Yeah.
I'd say about 30%.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
that's what I was
Yeah.
suggesting.
I mean, there's.
No, that's good.
Mhm.
That's good.
And you'll see some of this progress in these images about to come up. So if I go to the next slide here, this is the front of the building. This view is from South Quaker. This is from the parking loop out front. We've all learned with COVID, we need extra space for our pickup line. And this is ample space. It's quite impressive how much space is there. This view shows the main office on the left. And then to the right, you will see the clinic area and also guidance office area. When it's all said and done, hopefully this July, this space should look like this.
Wow.
So you can see they are moving. These pictures are from 5 days ago. I was down there this morning and there's already progress.
Mhm.
What Tim did not mention is in terms of masonry, we're ahead of schedule. So in one area we are behind, but on another area we're ahead of it.
And just so you can see, sorry, Mr. Muzzin, keep up, there you go. That is the parent pickup canopy, which is still in the project. That was
Gotcha.
not taking out just the bus side of that. So this is the rendering as it stands.
Our next image comes from the west side of the building. This is looking down that sidewalk where the canopy would be. And then to your right, where you see the workers, that will be where the kindergarten, first grade, and pre-K area will be, their academic wing. And if I go to the next slide, when it's all said and done, it should look like this.
Wow.
So they're moving right along that area, especially. They were finishing up, I believe, this week. And they're about to go vertical out there. And you can see that with the steel supports that are going in.
Do we have an estimated date that it'll be dried in? I mean, are we worried about weather coming up with the winter
Every piece is
time?
gonna be done a little bit at a time. So your mechanical, like I was explaining a minute ago, that's our primary area to get
Right.
dried in, to get the steel on, get the roofing on. But then you get the power on to that building that way, the main power in the building. And from that point on, it will be section by section.
So our next image is the rear of the building. And you can see the two academic wings, the wing to your right, that is going to be the second and third grade area. Again, when it's all said and done, it should look similar to this playground area. We have basketball courts and it looks like a track and a field there. Moving along. This is the rear of the building. This is where that canopy would go that Dr. Nichols was just talking about. This is also where they're putting all the steel at the moment. And when it's a huge bus loop. And this is the area where students will enter coming off the bus. On your right, that is the student cafeteria. Then to your left again are the academic wings for second and third. And then upstairs will be fifth grade. And I believe that canopy will extend further.
No, that's not a true picture of the canopy.
Yeah. Okay, now moving into the building, I call this the main street. There's a large hallway that kind of ties it all together. You can see that still have a lot of progress needed there, but when it's all said and done, it should look like this. This will tie it all together, the art room, the music room. To your right, where you see that mural, that is the media center. If you go straight down that hallway to the left, that will be your cafeteria. And then on the second floor there, that is an extended learning area outside of our STEAM room. Same thing, this will be the Main Street area, but this is also going to be our media center / library. So when that's all said and done, it should look similar to this. For a lot of students, this is their favorite area of the new building. This is our gymnasium. You can see it has the steel decking on it. So we're moving in that aspect. And when it's all said and done, that's what the gymnasium will look like. Here is our cafeteria. Those are the,
That's up to the gym, right?
yes, that's correct. That that stage will connect the two.
Gotcha.
So
What
when
you're
we're-
looking at from right there, where the windows are right there, when you're driving down the road, you look to your right where the US flag is right there. That's the window area you see right there, and that big part, large part of the building you see there.
On 249.
On 249.
this is going to be the end of one of our academic wings. Again, this will be where second and third grade will be housed. And one of the great parts of the school design is every area in this building is for learning. So it's not going to be confined to the classroom. So this is what the end of the second and third grade wing will look like. You'll see classrooms to the left. We made some different seating options and choices there. You won't be having the couches, but there'll be great extended learning areas where kids can leave the classroom, work collaboratively, work with small groups. Same with the glassed in area at the end, another meeting space for students to engage in learning. So any questions regarding the images?
They're great. Thank
They
you.
look great.
Thank you.
They look
So-
very good.
Thank
Kyle,
you.
I'd like to update my camera because my pictures don't look anywhere near as nice as yours.
Trying my best. So behind the scenes, outside of working with Tim on a daily basis and going out to the construction site, there's a lot that goes into planning the new school. And one of the big pieces of this was to determine which students are going to be going to the new school and also which students are going to be moving next year. So with number one up on the screen, working with Joseph Ellis, our new director of accountability, he helped pull student data from our student information system and pin them on the map of New Kent. So that is a live interactive map that we've been producing, and that enables us to see which students are moving where for the 2022-2023 academic year. This is also giving us a rough number of how many students will be in each building. The number's not quite stable just because of all the enrollments and movement here in September. But as the year progresses, we expect a much more stable number so we can start making some choices and decisions for these new buildings.
And for the visualization of this, the yellow, which is hidden by some of the dots there, that's Quentin Elementary School. The
Yes.
purple is George Watkins, and then the pink is Newton Elementary.
Yes, yes, it is. Some of the other planning taking place, and this is with Timmy, is looking at the plans, looking at what the architect has produced. It's to put an educational lens on it. So looking at the placement of projectors, looking at the placement of different AV needs for our students, it's good for us to look through that again, just to ensure that we can maximize the learning experience for our students and also for our teachers. Number three, we've been doing a lot with our furniture choices. Up on the screen is a mock-up of what a 5th grade classroom may look like. One of the cool parts of this whole process is teachers have been involved throughout. We've done surveys, we've done focus groups. Just because they're going to be in this space every day, we want to ensure they have everything they need to work with their students. And then the last one in terms of progress, just securing all these necessary materials and colors. I'm sure Timmy gets sick of seeing my cell phone number come up, but I have lots of questions regarding what's going into this building because it is going to impact what we do there on a daily basis. So moving ahead to next month, this is where it gets really exciting because we're really going to start putting more information out to the community about what Quinton Elementary School is going to look like. So the first thing that's really important is just reminding our community of the redistricting decision that was made this last spring. Most people are aware of that, but we're going to reintroduce our Cropper map. Same with the map that Mr. Ellis helped create, just so our families know where they're zoned for. The second one, I know Dr. Nichols has done a great job of this. We want to start putting out more images about the planning and also the building, just so people are aware of this historic moment for our community. So we're hoping to do some social media. We're going to do some work with our website, just so if anyone has any questions or thoughts, they can go right to it and get the answers they need. The third one I think is the most popular. This is the question I get the most. Actually got on the bus loop today at George Watkins from a student, and that is mascot and school colors. So we're going to begin to piece together a plan to make this decision as a community. So we're definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to everyone's input. And we'll have several committees formed just so we make the right decision. So that should be coming out hopefully in mid-October. And then the last one, and this is just ongoing, just constantly looking over the building, looking at the spaces and really envisioning what we can do with our students in this building. It's going to be a special place. On the exterior, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So we have to ensure that the instruction and the relationships match that on a daily basis. So I conclude our presentation just with how it looks today. Again, please drive by, check it out. Our friends at Heartland have been kind enough to share their drone footage, which I think is a great way just to kind of see the progress that's being made on this every day.
Very good. Thank you all for the update.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Next item on the agenda is the VSBA policy updates. This is the second reading. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, so at our last meeting, I brought to you 2 policy revisions. So one had a typographical error from VSBA. And the second one was reverting the compensatory time back to what it was originally. VSBA made a recommendation based on the legal reference, pulled that recommendation back. It actually is in line with what we do right now, so it's a great thing for us. I know you guys have had time in between. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, but both minor adjustments, and it does come before you for action tonight. So be happy to take any questions if you have.
All right, so next on our agenda are the action items. Do I hear a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel matters as presented?
Make a motion, we consider the personnel matters as presented by the superintendent.
And do I hear a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve the propane contract as presented?
I move that we approve the propane contract as presented.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And do I hear a motion to approve the VSBA policy updates as presented?
Make a motion, we improve the VSBA policy updates as presented.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. And our next meeting will be,
October 11th is our next regular board meeting, followed by our next work session on October 25th.
with that, our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.